All right, so last night the Senate conducted the vote on the budget resolution for the $3.5 trillion infrastructure plan that is being put forward in tandem with that bipartisan one, the $1 trillion one that has also passed through the Senate. And so during this process, there's something that's called a vote-a-rama, as they call it. And really, this is just like a pointless ordeal where a bunch of senators get together and they were on the floor for like 14 hours. And basically, anybody can put forward some of these non-binding amendments to the legislation and the resolution, and it's really kind of pointless because, again, it's non-binding, a lot of this stuff, so it doesn't actually have any tangible effects in real life, but it's an opportunity for them to virtue signal. And so what I'm about to tell you in this video is more so a commentary on how Democrats are deploying their strategy for the next 2022 midterms, and how nonsensical some of these virtue signaling efforts that they have been undergoing during this Vote-O-Rama actually are. So let's get into, first of all, some just basic outlines as to what they were voting on, because some of this shit is just ridiculous. Some of it's a little bit more reasonable, but Senate Democrats called GOP's bluff on defund the police penalties and preventing the Green New Deal and more. So let's go ahead and read some of this. So the top line, they say at Forbes, Senate Democrats on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning repeatedly voted to pass Republican bills penalizing localities that defund the police, preventing the implementation of the Green New Deal, and more, but the legislation was all non-binding, as I was just saying, allowing Democrats to supposedly dodge messaging bullets without real policy consequences. So basically, just like I was saying, this is all just virtue signaling. Democrats are trying to get some good wins here in terms of some of the attacks that Republicans typically launch against them, including defund the police attacks. And so let's go ahead and read about what they actually voted on. So key facts, they say at the start of the marathon amendment process, or Vote-O-Rama, as I was just saying, on Democrats' budget resolution, all 50 Democrats, all 50 of them, joined with Republicans to pass Senator John Barrasso's from Wyoming's amendment preventing the implementation of the Green New Deal. So again, it's non-binding, so they don't actually have to stick to anything, but this is not a good messaging win, right? I mean, as we see here from Data for Progress, voters overwhelmingly support the Green New Deal. So this has been the case for a long time. Why? Because many voters recognize that the Green New Deal is largely a massive economic boost. It will create millions of good-paying union jobs, and in the process, it will transition our energy system away from destructive to the planet fossil fuels and towards more sustainable, renewable energies. And tackling these problems are things that are supported by the American people. So it's not a good messaging approach to try to say, oh, well, don't worry, we're not in favor of the scary Green New Deal. The voters want you to be in favor of the scary socialist Green New Deal, okay? So they're just playing into Republicans' hands here, and it's not for a messaging win. That's actually going to be a win, right? So continuing on to the next thing, all 99 senators present, minus Senator Mike Rounds, from a Republican from South Dakota, voted to pass Senator Tommy Tuberville, who is absolutely batshit insane conservative, amendment to withhold federal funds from localities that defund the police, which, like the Green New Deal, is a left-wing policy that the GOP likes to try to pin Democrats on. So they all agreed to a non-binding amendment that would punish localities for trying to defund the police. Okay, so that's what they consider is a messaging win for them. 98 senators voted for Senator Todd Young's, a Republican from Indiana, amendment to block tax increases that would violate President Joe Biden's campaign pledge to not raise taxes on Americans making under $400,000 a year. I think that's fine. That's a good win there. You shouldn't be raising taxes on anyone making $400,000 a year. It's not necessary in terms of what they're trying to accomplish right now, so that's fine. But continuing, 95 senators voted for Senator Josh Hawley's amendment to hire 100,000 more police officers, which Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois noted is an extension of a program Biden got passed in 1994 when he was a senator. So they all voted pretty much, except for three of them, and I think those three were Bernie Sanders, Senator Mike Lee, and one other one. But basically all of them, including Democrats, voted to hire 100,000 new police officers. Okay, so they're playing into this idea that Republicans have been running on, that the solution to the supposed crime wave or the issue of crime in this country is giving more money and resources to the police. Okay, this is not true, right? If you actually wanted to solve the problem of crime in the United States or in general, you would actually be addressing people's material conditions. That is how you actually lower the crime rate. You would do that by providing things like healthcare as a human right, housing as a human right, good paying jobs so people are not working starvation wage jobs. You would do it by addressing their actual material conditions and that would actually end up lowering crime in the long term. Things that don't lower crime in the short or long term is giving police more funding and resources. Police simply, statistically, don't prevent crime. Go and look at all of the most heavily populated per capita police cities around the United States. They're all also the most heavily, have the heaviest amounts of crime in those cities. Why? Because there's no correlation between adding more police to the force, whether it's 100,000 or a million of them, and there's no correlation to adding more funding to the police with lowering crime rates. They just simply don't. They're not an effective solution to lowering crime. Again, you would have to address people's material conditions in order to actually do that. So now let's get to the entertaining part here, because Senator Cory Bush decided to go on an excitable rant here about how much of a gift this supposedly is to Democrats. So let's go ahead and hear how he had to frame this, because he pretty much loses his mind here, not going to lie.
I call on my colleagues to support our law enforcement by voting yes for this amendment. Opposing my amendment is a vote in support of defunding the police and against the men and women in blue.
Right, so he puts forward an amendment here, right? Again, non-binding. So this is just an opportunity for Republicans to virtue signal and say, look, if Democrats vote against this, then they support defunding the police, and that's radical and scary and terrifying, right? So here's how Senator Cory Bush reacted after 99 Democratic senators, or all of the Democratic senators in correspondence with the Republicans as well, voted to support this amendment. So here you go.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Madam President.
Senator from New Jersey.
I am so excited. This is perhaps the highlight of this long and painful and torturous night. This is a gift. If it wasn't complete abdication of Senate procedures and esteem, I would walk over there and hug my colleague from Alabama. And I will tell you right now, thank God, because there's some people who have said that they're members of this deliberative body that want to defund the police, to my horror. And now this senator has given us the gift that finally, once and for all, we can put to bed this scurrilous accusation that somebody in this great esteemed body would want to defund the police. So let all of us, 100 people, not walk, but sashay down there and vote for this amendment and put to rest the lies. And I am sure I will see no political ads attacking anybody here over defund the police. And I would ask unanimous consent to add something else to this obvious bill. Can we add also that every senator here wants to defund the police, believes in God, country, and apple pie? Thank you.
I call on.
All right, so first of all, calm the fuck down, man. Okay, you're way too excited and hyped up about this. Okay, it's not that big of a deal. Second of all, this is not going to work out in the way that Senator Cory Booker thinks that it's going to work out. And I get it. Listen, he was being somewhat sarcastic there. He was kind of joking around and fucking with the Republicans. Okay, fine. Do your little spiel up there. But understand, this is the strategy that Democrats are trying to deploy for the 2022 midterms. Okay, so as he is getting this excitable, here's the Democratic strategy. Democrats look to flip the script on the GOP defund the police attacks. And I also heard this from Nancy Pelosi directly. Nancy Pelosi thinks it is a good 2022 midterm strategy to focus on that Republicans voted against some of the COVID relief packages, which gave money to police, and they're trying to spin this as this means that Republicans actually are the ones who support defunding the police. This is the strategy that Democrats think is going to excite voters and get them to the polls, of thinking, oh, no, it's not us that want to defund the police, it's the Republicans that want to defund the police. Well, listen, I'm going to take Cory Booker at his word, and the rest of those senators who voted for this ridiculous amendment. They do support giving more resources, giving more funding to police. None of them support defunding the police. That's completely true. Not even Bernie Sanders supports defunding the police, okay? So I appreciate the honesty that none of these Democrats actually support defunding the police. But what does that actually also mean? It means even though it is unpopular right now, and I'm somebody who does support defunding the police and reallocating those resources towards more effective programs that would actually solve the problems that they claim to be solving, but what this actually means is that Democrats think that this is the type of issue that is going to motivate people to the polls. They think that talking about funding the police is going to be the main issue of the 2022 midterms, not healthcare, not education, not taxing billionaires, which is extremely popular, taxing corporations, which is extremely popular, not the Green New Deal, as they just tried to virtue signal against, even though it's extremely popular, not creating jobs. But they think that focusing on defund the police and feeding into these Republican ideas are going to fix the problem. On top of that, this idea that Cory Booker has in his head that Republicans are going to stop running defund the police attack ads against them because they voted for this, that's delusional. You're straight up delusional, guy. I mean, this is not going to happen. They're running those attack ads because they're being disingenuous. And understand that regardless of what Democrats do, this is them proving that they don't actually care about solving the problems of lowering crime rates in the United States. It's actually leftists and people who support things like defund the police that actually care about addressing the problem of crime. Okay? And I find it hilarious that at the beginning of this article, and I'll pull this back up again, they reference Joe Biden supporting this policy in 1994, right? 95 senators voted for Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri's amendment to hire 100,000 new police officers, noted is an extension of a program Biden got passed in 1994. You know what that bill is called? The 94 Crime Bill. In other words, the bill that led to the United States currently having roughly 5% of the world's population and 25% of the world's prison population. Joe Biden helped write the 94 Crime Bill that they just referenced there as if it's a positive, that he wrote the bill that led to the mass incarceration state that we currently have. So Democrats are completely unserious about actually solving the problem of crime in the United States. And not only that, but they're latching onto some of the most ridiculous strategies like condemning the Green New Deal and claiming that Republicans are the ones who want to defund the police, as if that's going to be a viable 2022 midterm strategy. So again, the basic point that I'm trying to get across here, because none of these are binding agreements, so there's not much substance policy-wise behind any of this, but understand, Democrats have absolutely no idea what they're doing leading into the 2022 midterms, and if it keeps going on this trajectory of them trying to virtue signal in these ways, they're going to get absolutely eviscerated.